Everybody, I'm Tasha with the Major Change Group, and y'all, you are not gonna believe that I was actually approved for 40,000 with my American Express Gold Card spending limit. And so, in this video, we're gonna talk about how I went from being approved for 10,000 to 40,000. Let's get into it. So, I was actually approved for 40,000 with my American Express card spending limit. But before we get into this, I want to go back to my last video where I was talking about how you can use the balance details to be able to check your spending limit opposed to actually using the spending limit tool. Because when I first got my American Express Gold Card, everybody was stating you do not use the spending limit tool, because when I first got it, I actually had used the spending limit tool 3 times, because it tells you that you can use it up to 3 times a day. And so I had used it 3 times. And when I put the video out, it was like, don't use the spending limit tool because it's going to make you get a financial review. So over time, I was just like, well, how can I, check my limit? And so then that's when I found through the balance details how you can do it. And so usually, you can go on to the American Express site and you can check your spending power. And so, but what I would do is I would go in the balance details, and it states the total pay over time limit. Now, the thing is, I had got this comment. Now, this was not the original comment that I was looking for, because somebody was stating that they tried it and it didn't work. And so I was trying to go back to clip it and I couldn't find it. And I found this comment from Living the Dream 21. I use the spending limit tool 3 times a day for many days, up to weeks, to see if it changed. I have it down to the penny of what I can purchase. And then also it states the pay over time limit is not your spending limit. Your spending limit can be much higher than the pay over time limit. And so when I read this, I was just like, whoa, that's crazy. So I'm just like, So then I got the bright idea. I said, you know what? I'm going to use the spending limit tool so that I can see if my spending limit increased. And so normally what I'll do is I'll go here under the balance details to see what my spending limit is. And so like right now it's stating that my spending limit is 15,000, but I did a little bit more research and it states that the total pay over time limit is the max amount you can carry with interest. So, with the American Express Gold Card and really with the American Express cards, you really want to pay the card off every month, but they have interest rates. So I believe my interest rate is probably like 26.99%. So basically what they're saying is that I can carry a total balance of 15,000, and then that's what I can pay interest on. But anything over the 15,000, I have to make sure to pay off every month. Now I pay my credit card off every month, so I think that I'm still going to be okay with that. But even though this comment is stating that the pay over time limit is not your spending limit, I do kind of feel like this is a baseline, because technically they're telling me that I could pay interest up to 15,000. Now that's getting a little bit into the weeds, but I really wanted to clarify, because I thought it was pretty interesting. But the whole thing is, once I saw this, because it says your spending limit can be much higher than the pay over time limit. So I'm just like, okay, let's take a look. So I was just like, because I want to say a few weeks ago, when I tested out the pay over time limit, and that says 15,000. When I went over to the spending limit tool, I put in 15,000 and I was approved. And so that's how I equated it to being able to do that. But see, the thing is, I didn't put it up to anything higher than the 15,000, because when I had originally got approved for the American Express Gold Card and I had used the spending limit tool, I had did it for 10,000 and I got approved. I did it for 15,000 and I got denied. And then I did it for 13,000 and I got denied. And so I was just like, you already know. I wasn't going to try no 20,000, but see, The last time that I checked, I had been approved for 15,000. So I'm going to show you here where this was in June 17th of 2023, where I tried to see if I was approved for 15,000 and I was not approved. And so in my last video, I had ran the spending limit tool and I was approved for 15,000. So this time I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna try 20,000. So y'all, I tried 20,000 and I was approved. And then I was just like, okay, let me see if I do it for, I just went 30,000. So I went 30,000 and it was like, boom, you was approved. And so at first I was just like, do I do it again? Do I not do it again? Because, on one part of me, y'all telling me don't use the spending limit tool. So I was like, don't do it. But then I get this comment and he's stating, or they're stating, that they use the spending limit tool 3 times a day, every day for weeks. And so I was just like, you know what? I'm going all the way. So I just went ahead and I put in 40,000 and I was approved for 40,000. So I'm just like, whoa, that's pretty crazy. But when I go into my balance details, it does only show that my total pay over time limit is 15,000. So I'm just like, okay. So I'm like, y'all, I was selling myself short because I was too scared to use the spending limit tool to see if I was approved for any more. So I don't know. I mean, you'll have to decide on whether or not you want to use the spending limit tool or not, but you'll have to let me know in the comments. Do you use the spending limit tool or do you not use the spending limit tool? That is the question. So let me know in the comments. But I did it. I used it 3 times. I did it back to back. I did it 3 times. And so we were okay. But in my last video also, I got this question. I just got approved for the gold card. It hasn't come in yet. So does the spending limit increase and decrease based on how often you use and how much you spend on it? So with the spending limit, it states, so we know with the American Express Gold Card, there's no preset spending limit, which means your spending limit is flexible. Your purchases are approved based on a variety of factors, including your credit, really your credit score, your account history, and your personal resources. And so, when I think about it and we think about our credit score, so our credit score is made up of 5 components. So we have our payment history, our credit utilization, our new credit, our credit mix. And, when I think about my credit, when was it? In September, I had ran a test on my credit report and I didn't report any utilization for a month so that I can see if I went down to 0% utilization, how was that? And then if I only reported on my American Express Gold Card, and so I believe I had reported maybe $1,800. So I'll put that video here when I was talking about how American Express reports to the credit bureau. So I wanted to run a test to see if I didn't report anything, 0 utilization on all my other credit cards, and only report on my American Express. So technically I had 0 utilization. And so what this is stating is it's going to be using the factors of my credit report, my account history, and my personal resources. So my credit report, I reported 0% utilization. And, on my credit report, I do have a few late payments on my credit report, but my credit mix is good. And my inquiries, y'all, I think I got like 3 or 4 inquiries on my credit report, but overall my credit score is really good. But then also I have been using the American Express Gold Card for like 6 months now, and you can see where I was approved for 10,000 and then I tried to get 15,000 and I wasn't approved, and then here it is 6 months later I'm approved for 40,000. Now, also, it states my account history. So, for my account history, I would probably say the most that I usually spend on my American Express card is probably about like $4,000. But I do pay my credit card off every month. And so for the last 6 months, really, the American Express Gold Card has been, I would say, my daily driver, but it has been between the American Express Gold Card, my Navy Federal Flagship, and now my daily driver is American Express Gold Card with the Chase Sapphire Preferred Card. So I do still use the American Express Gold Card a lot, but then I also make sure to pay the card off every month. So I think, with my account history, making sure, that I am doing daily spending on the card, but I wouldn't say that it was that high. And then I'm also paying the card off every month. And then when you take a look at my credit report and my credit profile, my utilization is usually going to be probably 2% or lower. But when I did in September, well, I guess it was maybe September or November when I did the zero utilization. I don't know if that helped, but having a low utilization is always going to help, because the thing is, if you want to improve your credit score really fast, if you tackle your credit utilization by decreasing it, so if you have 50% or higher, if you have a maxed out credit card, if you lower it to 30% or lower, but I would say probably 10% or lower, then you're going to increase your credit score really fast. So I think those are some of the factors that really can help to increase your spending power on your American Express Gold Card. But then also they take a look at your personal resources. So, on the American Express Gold Card, it states, when you're checking your spending limit, here you can put in how much, are you expecting your purchases to be. But then when you look down here, it asks you to do a review your income information so you can update your income. So let me know in the comments, how often do you update your income? So I was just like, okay, let me check it. And so I want to say in June, so I haven't updated mine since June, and in June I put 67,000, but you can also see that my credit score for my Experian credit score is 764. Now, for my Equifax and my TransUnion, I haven't gotten those updated scores in a while because I haven't pulled all the scores. So those scores are not as updated. And so that's a 751 and a 758. So I would, assume that they're probably higher, especially since my Experian score is a 764. So, really that's telling me when we look at our overall credit score, having a high credit score, but then looking at your credit profile. So 30% is going to be my utilization, and that is low. Now, my payment history, I do have those late payments on there, but then my credit mix, my new credit, and my length of credit is pretty good, which makes me have an overall high score. So, overall, when I look at this question, or somebody asked me this question, so does your spending limit decrease or increase based on how often and how much you spend on it? I would say, for me, I'm really not spending over $4,000 on my American Express Gold Card, but I am paying the credit card off every month. And then I'm also making sure that my credit profile is looking good. And so I think that that's going to be the main thing that's going to determine, how your spending limit is going to be. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about it? But like it states here, the factors are going to include your credit score, your account history, and then your personal resources. So to me, personal resources are going to be, are you, putting in your income and things like that. So let me know what you think in the comment. And I wanted to highlight this comment because, although I do like to talk about the spending limit and things like that, in the grand scheme of things, especially what Caesar is saying, he said, I don't worry about my gold or platinum limits. I buy what I need, pay, and I never had any issues. And so I was like, I know that that's right. But on the same hand, it's just like we still kind of want to know where our starting point is, but we also want to be educated to know how can we get the higher limits, just in case, let's say you want a higher limit. But let me know, what do you think in the comments? Have you seen your spending limit increase or decrease? But I hope that you found this video helpful. Please like, subscribe, share with a friend, turn your notification bell on so you'll be notified when new content comes out. I thank you so much for watching. Until next time. It's not a game.